Okay, so the first one say, what I want to say today is, you guys try to understand the Zhentong and Zhentong differences. Or maybe I just hear say, Zhentong semtsam linen dipi shira gama yin mun gami tartikumun. So the Zhentong Ba's view is go beyond Chitamada's view. So that means last time we talked about scientific point of view, scientific discovery, not only just point of view, the colors and shapes, everything is illusion. But they don't know what is going on, what is the mind. So scientists arrived there. And Jita Matha is higher than this. They already know that all is absolute illusion except the mind. But they think mind must be truly exist. So Zhentong Madhyamaka is go beyond that. Beyond that means Zhentong Madhyamaka saying the both material and mind, both is not truly exist. But within the Zhentong, you have Svatantrika and Pasanjika. So Svatantrika saying, is authentic mind we judging the object? True object not exist without authentic mind, but with authentic mind, they are exist. And then Pasanjika go more than that. They're saying, doesn't matter your authentic mind. I mean, authentic means functional, authentic subject or not, rely on this or not, both subject and object not truly exist at all. So that is Pasanjika can understand. So then Pasanjika think they are the highest view. And many Zhentong think the Pasanjika is the highest view. But not all Zhentong. So many of Zhentong, they're not distinguishing what is really Zhentong or Zhentong. Because for them, is both seems to make sense. So then they don't know how to disagree. So they just bring both. So that means I would say that means they are not the real Zhentong, or they are not real Zhentong either. They're just confused. But they they don't know they are confused or not. They think maybe they are not confused. Okay? So that is the reality today's situation, right now, this time, this age. So according to Zhentong saying, Rantongba, you are a Madhyamaka, but you are not the highest Madhyamaka. You are not the ultimate Madhyamaka. That they say. So Madhyamaka meaning is completely free from extremes, two extremes, which means is extreme of eternalism and nihilism. So when is Zhentong looking at the Pasangajika, even as the Pasangajika, and all of them, is not free from, not completely free from two extreme. So then Zhentong point of view, the person, for instance, the highest Pasangajika, Madhyamaka, is free from eternalism, but not free from nihilism. Why is not nihilism? Because you believe the ultimate truth is empty, just empty, non-feminine, negative, empty. So therefore, they see as nihilism. Within the Rantongba themselves, arguing each other, the early view of Tibetans, they say to the later view of like Tsongkhapa's view, they say you are nihilism. And then, according to Tsongkhapa followers, probably they tell the others, you are eternalism. But a Zhentongba view, they all is in nihilism. When I say this, it is not saying individuals, okay? It's saying in general their views. Because individuals very hard to know each people's view, each group's view, each person's view, always different. Okay? But the mainstream doctrine or mainstream the philosophy, they're saying, Zhentongba point of view, you all are nihilism. Why saying is nihilism? Because your view of emptiness, it is emptiness, but it's not the absolute emptiness. Absolute emptiness means the ultimate truth, the Buddha nature, not matched. That's why they're saying, why you are not the ultimate Madhyamaka, because your view of emptiness is not ultimate emptiness. Therefore, niton yang niton tartugmen, which means, therefore, even your view is, your doctrine is definitive, but not completely definitive. So, Gyatso rangstong marnam gomayang tartuk kimelen shir gomachi. So the main reason telling you the highest rangstong point of view is a Pasangika point of view. Their point of view is saying, we have no position to hold anything. So that's the Zhentong sees a weakness. Zhentong see is that is not free from extreme. You are not a middle way because you are extreme. You cannot even hold your position. Therefore, if we analyzed, you don't have position. So Rangtongpa is boasting that. They're saying, oh, we are very, very high view because we have no position. But Zhentongpa saying that is weakness. That is a sign of have no strength. Zhentongpa is not like that. They're saying Zhentongpa has position, can hold. That kind of Madhyamaka, you cannot hold even your position. That is not in percept. That's not very inspiring. That's sin, Dharanatha. So, 대형 요나 symptom mendopi symptom patang thagman dor so. So, like Maja, like Chitamata view, they have the possession. They say everything is the mind, nothing else truly exists. You don't agree in that, Prasantika. Also, the Vibhashika, so Tantrika, they all have their position. So everybody have position except you. So that's why you are not very, how do you say, honest and confident to hold your position. And for you, not possible You don't have the ultimate truth, basically, because you don't have an ultimate level. Why? Because your ultimate level is your ultimate truth. The emptiness is non-negative. So that's why that kind of non-negative, something is relative or ultimate nothing. And nothingness, you cannot have those any positions at all. You know, another name of the ultimate truth we call Ngawang. Ngawang means like expansiveness, the expansive. So the expanse or not expanse don't have that vocabulary to use. So therefore you cannot say, oh, the ultimate truth, the expanse, because these all terms everybody use, include them, use all the time. But Zhentong was saying is, you don't have even the right to use those things, because your ultimate truth is nothingness. So you, what you use for? Or otherwise, you have to agree all of your ultimate truth is the same as relative truth. Yana, so otherwise, your emptiness, your ultimate truth, your expansiveness, all becomes relative. Why? Why you can be relative? Because relative is the illusion anyway. It's not true anyway. So you can say anything. But ultimate truth isn't have to be true. Must be the truth, real truth. But something is nothingness. You cannot have real truth. So why this must be in a relative truth? Because when you appears, but something is appear, we can experience. But if you analyze it, then it's not there, not exist. Just same as the color, shape, all these things. So isn't this is how you identify as a relative truth? If this is not identifier, or how to say, the relative truth, then what else the relative truth you identify? So that's saying, yes, that usually is how you identify the relative or phenomenon. If this is identifier, and then there is a different subject to identifier, like ultimate truth, must be truth. Why? Because two truths have different way of identifying or recognize, you can say. or have realization, understand. So we are Zhentong by saying there is something not relative truth, but still is truth. Even you analyze, it still exists. You cannot challenge it by analyze. That is we saying, we identify is ultimate truth. This is our position. This is we call perfect nature. But if Rangtongpa, you think this is not the ultimate Madhyamaka, then you always give incredible high value of the no elaboration, non-elaborate, how do you say, non-liberation. That is a Zhentong by all calls in Tibetan called Chupter, which means you cannot have all the elaborations or nothing. That is usually you identify the ultimate truth. Also cannot be ultimate truth. So okay. Then Rangtongpa, if answer say, that's not true. One is true, one is not true. Because our emptiness is a non-elaboration, but is we not saying is the true, because they don't hold any position. But you are Zhentongpa, you saying this is the absolute truth. Therefore, it's different. That means Rangtongpa says, Zhentongpa, you're wrong because you saying the ultimate truth is absolute truth. And we saying non-elaborator. Non-elaborator means most of the time is like not true. So then, Zhentongpa's answer, Sanma trupi den barangin mandut, trupi wembi den surrendertawa. So we don't say the ultimate truth. Usually we negate in these elaborations. We're not saying still possess that. We saying the truth of go beyond that. The truth of go beyond all elaborations. So this beyond of this truth, you are asking, but you have no idea what is that. You didn't know even what direction. So whenever you try to argue with Zhentong, you're not arguing nothing because you didn't know even what Zhentong was saying. Because all your negations, challenges, you doing for the no more elaborations, the no more things, no more. You're not challenging the ultimate truth at all, because ultimate truth you cannot challenge by talk and this analyzing. You cannot do that. It's go beyond that. Your challenge is something you have tool. You can challenge the relative truth phenomenon. You're using this for ultimate truth. That's not possible. So that means basically, if we have tools to use, dig the earth, this kind of use, we try to use the space. You try to dig in the space. Doesn't matter how much you do, it's nothing. You're doing nothing. They're saying like that. So that kind of challenges, you're analyzing challenges for the relative phenomenon. That's we also do. But we cannot do this for the perfect nature. If there is some normal elaboration, then it fell into the relative truth, not the ultimate truth. So the ultimate truth is free from that. That's why we call it empty of other. Other means or other relative phenomenon other than Buddha nature itself. So basically you have this very low point of view, perspective, because you don't have, earlier we said, you don't have proper doctrine, Mahayana doctrine. You mixture everything, so that's why you have influence of the lower schools. So therefore, these Vibhashika and Sutrantika, these lower schools, they don't believe, for example, they don't believe there is Theravada, Mahayana, Vajrayana. They don't believe that. They believe just one exists, not many. And saying influence of that, so Tharinjirwa, the Pasanjika, you also, you follow them and you also agree like that. That is the sign of you have the influence. Therefore, your view is not very correct. So what is that? For instance, Pasanjika, you agree. Or Sharvakas, Patiyokas, Bodhisattvas, or they realize self-emptiness, the emptiness of self and emptiness of phenomenon. You agree, realize everybody equally realized, the Sharvaka, Patyaka, or Bodhisattva. That means they are equal for you. Your view is wrong, basically. So what is wrong is, that means even in the small scope, doctrine followers, the Patyakas and Shravakas, they should have Dharmakaya. Because you realize the same thing. So if you have to agree this, they have the Dharmakaya, then why not Sambokakaya and Nirmanakaya? They should be same. Why? Because Sambonakaya and Nirmanakaya, Sambonakaya is come from Dharmakaya, emanation. And Nirmanakaya is an emanation of from the Sambokakaya. Then you have to agree, Pasanajika, you have to agree there is not Buddha, the Arahats. The Arahats is not Buddha, but still have all Buddha's qualities. That's very contradiction. All of these problems, why come? Because you have influence of their doctrine, these lower schools. That's why you become like that. That's Taranatha saying to them. So if you say, oh no, because the Bodhisattvas, the Buddhas, they eliminate of this cognitive obscuration, and the Arahat is not. Why not? Because they should have same realization. How come they don't have elimination also same? But even there is a possibility different, still it doesn't support the original idea, because the realization you agree they're same. So the primary problem still remains. So in general, Buddhist, the logical law, the doctrine law, or Buddhas, why emanate? Because the accumulation merits, aspiration for so long, so strong. But now you are agreeing those have no aspiration to liberate sentient beings, the Sharvakas and Patyaka path, and the result of the Arahat. This we call Yeshir Namin Dopi, so they are finished the body, then is finished. You send according to you, those and the bodhisattvas become same. So they must be have Dharmakaya, Samboka. If they exist both or not existed, no both not existed, because same realization. Otherwise, behind that, if the lower Sharvakas and Patiyakas, if they have this realization, so they all have this realization, so they have this attainment of the three kayas. Otherwise, all bodhisattvas have no kayas. When they are bodhisattva accomplishment, the ultimate Buddha is, you have to agree, the same as Arhat, nothing else. For instance, they say, the water preacher is not the pillar. Pillar is not water preacher. It's that kind of distinguish is common, same. Similarly, you have to have that kind of differentiation from bodhisattva path and Sharvaka path, but you don't. And also your view, the ultimate truth is only non-feminine negative, then there's nothing to distinguish. Why? Because you don't believe the alaya, the pasajika. You don't believe alaya, so there's no karmic stall. When then person die, they dissolve the body is not function anymore. The five senses, and then no more consciousness, our thoughts, all of them int. Then this person is finished. There's no such thing, follow the karma. Because you don't have even a karmic store, alaya, you don't believe even that. Or if somebody going to enlighten, also there is no emanation, just like same as Arahat. Also, there is no such thing, the cognitive obscurations, because they all not exist. It's just non-feminine negative. And also, Pasanadika, you don't have all these accusations, you don't have authentic Mahayana doctrine to support your point. But everybody else, they have support. From Buddha, especially Zhentong. That's his saying. All of these reasons, the lower schools of Sharvakas and Padyakas, they realize selflessness of all phenomena is not agreeable. Zhentong tagayod kan tokor gipat ema stokna chukan stokorangar. Because whenever you realize the substance, like for instance our brain, and then thoughts, then logic, this gathering together have to realize. But you don't have that. It's not very negative. How can you realize all phenomena? If you say the Pasanadika, but all of them is not the insight. Then is you disagree, you contradicting of all the direct perceptions. So you didn't realize of the all reasons. You cannot distinguish because have a different thoughts. Why? Shitun dotang nam hi tugni tang. Kung shen gok tang rang ring gwa tang. Yang rang kyan yer tan do paso. Rang tong ala termin chen tan disi. So he tried to listen the indications how the lower schools doctrine influent that Pasanajika. One, Shitun Dopadam. So Shitun means external reality. So Pati and the Ubashika and Sotrantika, the lower two schools, they believe external reality is real. Not everything real as normal people experience. But the finest, smallest particle, they believe it must be true. And then from that, you formed bigger elements. So that means they are agree. They believe there is external object without subject. And Mandoli school said there, no, there is no external object, only subject. Appearance dependent on the subject. That's we talked a lot before. But interestingly, Pasajika agreeing there is external object. Not exactly same as Vibhashika and Sharvaka, but they agree in that position. That is one point. He said, you have influenced there. And the Chittamata and Zhentong, they all agree. Tantrayana, all of them, they agree. There is 8 consciousnesses. But Pasajika only agree 6 consciousness, same as Vibhashika and Svatantrika. So they are disagree, having a alaya, the karmic stroll, and they are disagree, have awareness, self-awareness. Not only that, they are agree the Patiyakas and Sharvakas, they are the object of refuge. That means probably this in the ultimate object. For us, that is in the refugee field. Out of respect. And you can say they are temporary or ultimate object, but you cannot be the ultimate object of refuge. You're not taking a refugee forever. Because they haven't done all the ultimate accomplishment. So forth, Rathomba has many of influence of Vibhashika and Svatantrika. So therefore, Rathomba cannot be the ultimate Madhyamaka. Okay, now is a tribe. Rathomba jik tram tarakshya chang tenye jirikwa Zhentong de drapa. How to even some regard Rathomba's analyze doctrine, their reasoning, establishing Zhentong. Karte rangton lugi stupter de megna sukyang nyomatis. So again, if the Rangtonbas viewpoint, the ultimate truth is non-feminine negative, then is no possible anybody can experience. Because that we call ngumit. Ngumit means I don't know how to translate. Do you know Tamil Gyatso? Ngumit? Anyway, so ngumit means
Ngumit.
Yes.
Unreality, unreal.
Yeah, unreality.
Yeah, like
Who can
unreal,
experience unreality?
Mm.
Yeah, but the meaning is basically real. Is ngumit means not existent, non-existent, basically. Who can experience non-existent? If you experience non-existent, then is the illusion. Cannot go anywhere else. How you realize something is non-feminine negative, non-existent? He said, you can say, if you are satisfied that when we, conceptually something understood, that is not real. Everything is not real. For instance, if you think now, 1 trillion away of the star, 1 trillion kilometers of the way of the star, if you think now, that's not the real, but you can think. So anything you can think, but it's not real. So that's where you can understand it. He's saying, if that is enough for you, ultimate truth, then yes, otherwise, no possible. A simple explanation that. So that is illusion, he's saying, basically, that is illusion. It's not the realizing the reality. So even is non-elaboration, even we named that, it is non-elaboration because there is no elaborations or details, anything at all of the relative phenomenon. And then is true, that is really true. As long as not that, what you say in by you say in the ultimate truth, the non-feminine negative, that is the same as reality, the relative reality. Equal to the all the samsara. Why? Because remember, all the samsara appearances only appears as an illusion. Remember, it's not real. The conceptual level of the not real and the five senses level of the not real. Remember? So Zhentong point of view, saying Pasangika, include Pasangika or Northongba, your ultimate truth becomes a category of the relative truth. Because non-existent, unreal. So another way I will look at, he said, something is experience or appear through the all Buddhas, and then free from samsaric liberation, or you can say free from the illusion liberation. Then is must be true. So is like that, you're non-permanent negative. Of course not. Non-permanent negative is only exist in conceptual mind, not other than that. If not appear for the Buddhas, then you have to agree or relative truth and ultimate truth, another way, or samsara and enlightened reality is same. You have to agree with that. Because enlightenment or enlightened reality or enlightened phenomenon is something, or Buddhas is appear to the Buddhas, or you can experience by Buddhas. Something can experience by sentient beings, that's a samsaric setup. So if you don't distinguish way, instead in your way, not by your way, then there's not much differences, the ultimate truth and the relative truth. Become darker. So So why we say the samsaric stuff or relative truth is non-exist? Why we say that? Because not appears for all the Buddhas. When we say Buddhas, we're not talking about Buddha or Buddha Shakyamuni. He didn't see anything. It's not like that. Or maybe I have to put on a light. Sorry. Mm-hmm. But according to you, not about you, then you see as the ultimate truth, according to the Zhentong is, you think is illusion. Yeah, why illusion? Because when Zhentong say this is the truth, this is the permanent, this is real, and this is real self, and they think, oh, then they think, oh, so bad, as like samsara. And you judging by your samsaric mind, think that the ultimate truth must be empty, non-feminine negative. In that way, that kind of, you cannot distinguish the ultimate truth and the relative truth, because same mind, you judge in the same way. So if you think they are both equal, the relative truth and ultimate truth, but is it true? Then instead is a true truth, then must be the relative truth much better. Because at least we can experience now. The other one even don't yet. So that means you have these all big problems. These all problems according to you, that's saying. Pasanjika. So in ultimate level, they both, you agree, not exist. And the illusional level, the relative truth make works. But the ultimate truth don't in the samsara. Why? Because you saying the relative truth is valid. Why become like this? You saying the relative truth is valid, and then the ultimate truth is not valid for you. Because not valid because you say not exist, non-exist. This is, he's saying, this is embarrassing view. That means nowadays who claims Tomba, they all not saying that. Okay? Many groups, they're not saying that. Many individuals, they're not saying that. This is he talking the mainstream, just same as the scientists. The mainstream science still mind is not mind is only function of the brain. Is everything is brain. Mind is only function of the brain. That's mainstream scientists. Of course, there is no next life, but not individuals. Similarly, these views however, the Gelugpa is the majority, mainstream, everyone saying yes, the relative truth is valid. Samitpa. And the ultimate truth is non-negative. Also saying, Tontamta Tanyat Yopi Yokochut, which means if it exists in conventional level, that is enough. Exist. Tontamta Yopi Yoko Machut, which means in the ultimate level, even is exist is not enough. So that's the saying. Yeah, there's many arguments. And then he one more. He attacked the Pasajika, the highest, because Pasajika said, Jichtin marstak ngorn nguken yuts. Everything exists in conventional level without analyzing. Shengur Metisha. But if you analyze it, then it's not exist. Taranatha say, this is your position. You hold. But there is something we need to analyze. You say the relative reality not exist in ultimate level. But the relative reality exist. Isn't that is analyzing? Because you said no need to analyze the relative, but you analyze it. Why? Because it's normal conventional people, they don't have distinction is relative truth or ultimate truth. That's true. But for your analyzing, all relative truth must be have own ultimate level. Because, and according to you, both of them must be not exist in ultimate level. Why? He said, no akanzo te istoanas. Or appearances is reality, the conventional reality, and emptiness of that is the ultimate reality for you. Therefore, the relative appearances never cease. Therefore, the either you have a both one level exist, or you have either both not exist, because they are the same nature for you. Same nature, only two aspects. Or here saying they both probably agree to not exist, both of them, in both levels, relative level and ultimate level, because they are the same nature, and you saying is non-negative. If you say, but in understanding level, I eliminate the holding true existence, both external and externalism and nihilism. If you say that, then he say, in that case, you don't have appearance of ultimate truth anyway. You must be a full nihilism, because the absorption of ultimate truth, you don't have any appearance and experience at all. So therefore, you must fall into the nihilism. Okay, maybe we leave here now and you have questions. Maybe not easy. How everybody found? Very difficult to understand?
I think it definitely
a
lot of patience and close close paying attention, I think. Maybe a few times of watching.
Yeah.
Listening.
But even my explanation is not very satisfactory. Not enough, how do you say, clarity and the language. But okay, we can try our best.
Yeah, I think it also just takes even reading the text a few times and listening to what you say a few times and pondering it. If anyone has any questions, you can add them to the comments on Facebook or to the chat today. We have one question already there. This one is about the Samboka and the Dharmakaya.
Okay.
Okay, you mentioned the Samboka emanates from Dharmakaya. So does Samboka have any backwards effect on Dharmakaya, or is the Dharmakaya independent of the Samboka?
Dharmakaya not dependent on Samboka. But Samboka maybe, I don't know, is it correct to say independent, but there is no Samboka if there's no Dharmakaya. Yes. So there is no reflection if we are no body. If the body not there, you don't have a reflection of your body, right?
So
similar.
The next question. So can we understand from this discussion that the non-affirming negation is not something that's able to be experienced?
Yes, non-affirming negation, non-affirming negative means whatever you negating, there is nothing else left. Affirming negative is if we say, let's say, oh, he doesn't eat during the day. It's meaning, or there is some, that means we are negating not eating during the day, but then implied the eating night time, or we can say implied, but or we can say there is a room for something else. So that's what we call affirming negative. But non-affirming negative means is okay. Non-affirming negative means that if you say, "Is this cat?" then you say no. That's it. There's no anything else implied. Anything not implied, anything. They're not, yeah, that kind of. So for instance, the Gelugpa's point of view of the emptiness is non-affirming negative. So that means empty means then there's nothing else. It is empty. We say, oh, this room is empty. Then okay, empty. That means nothing inside. You can't argue, oh, empty means there's something. Implied, empty means, oh, implied there's something. You can't do that. So affirming negative means the Zhentong point of view, the Zhentong is affirming negative, which means you say, even you say empty, means empty of other. So other means, oh, empty of other means there's something empty, but there is a base. What is something not empty? Because the empty of other means not empty itself. So that means, oh, Buddha nature. The ultimate truth is not empty itself, but empty of the or illusion. But also you can understand when we say empty itself means the non-affirming negative. You can understand empty of other means affirming negative.
Okay, Rinpoche, could you talk a bit more about the seventh consciousness, deluded conceptions? Does it relate to the imputed nature?
Yes. You mean talk about the seventh?
Is, yeah, the seventh level of consciousness.
Yeah. The seventh level of consciousness is, yes, in what you call the name? Afflictive.
Afflictive consciousness.
Afflictive consciousness. Yeah, afflictive consciousness. So, we have that afflictive consciousness. That is why we don't need cultivate anger, jealous, depression. Many things we don't need cultivate. Very easily, a little conditions there, then very easily to rise because of that. And also the self-tradition, everything we don't need cultivate is there. That means this one is influencing all other levels of consciousness. But not the eyes consciousness, the air consciousness, the five senses consciousness, not directly influent, but is same is influent because the man consciousness always helping them, and then the afflictive consciousness helping the man consciousness. But not as active as our conceptual consciousness, because we not angry all the time. We not all of them arise. But the selfishness is always there, even not appears, but still there. So we have very quick reaction. If we have something dangerous, of course, first we try to protect ourselves. We're not thinking others. Very exceptional cases. Some mothers maybe think of the child. Some exceptional cases, yes, but in general, everybody think oneself, nobody else, even the same danger. So that kind of, yeah, very influential.
Another question. Does the understanding of empty of other arise experientially through the completion stage practice of Kalachakra?
Yes, of course. That's the purpose. So that's the purpose. That's why this saying to analyzing. Through the analyzing, you can experience this other emptiness is very unusual. Not impossible, but it's very unusual. Not that easy to. But if you cultivated the other foundations very well, and then you meant to be experienced that it's not only that time, but at that time more likely you meant to be experienced. Tiny by tiny, not the whole thing. Whole thing experience, that means you are Buddhahood.
So a follow-up question, since you were talking about the seventh consciousness, the question is, how is it different? How is the seventh different from the eighth? How are they separate?
Oh, they're very different because the eighth doesn't do anything, only allow, yeah, because we usually call storehouse. You know, storage house doesn't do anything, only just allow, stay there. The stops, let's stay there, but doesn't do anything else. As same as that, the eighth consciousness doesn't do anything actively at all. Just allow, or is stored, or the karmic propensities. So don't think as like physically. Physically is just an analysis, but you can think of like huge as like a big galaxy and hold too many things very easily, very patiently. No limitation of the patience and storage, but not do anything other than that.
Okay, and on a follow-up question to the question on non-affirming negation, there's still some confusion. So if somebody has the Zhentong view, can the pristine wisdom experience this emptiness of non-affirming negation?
I think you have to take very easy way and flexible way. When we say feminine negative and non-feminine negative, how do you, how you, depend how you take and how you angulars, which means if, for example, even one example, you can think of the both. Before I say the room is empty, if you think in the primary your subject, when I say room is empty, or if you expecting there are people in the room, then I said there's no people. Room is empty. If your mind is how to say, oriented, or how to say, you're important to know is the people. You don't really care the room. Then if I say room is empty, no people, then if you not think about the room, then it's non-feminine negative already. But if you understand, or you want to use the room, or for you is a room is important, not is people not important, then you could take as a feminine negative. Okay, good. There's no people. Oh, good. That means you wanted the room. So you can take that way as well. Because when we say the ultimate truth, then in your mind, the ultimate truth is the Buddha nature. Then we say, all Buddha nature is emptiness. But you don't think that Buddha nature is not exist. If you don't think that way, then you thinking is like non-feminine negative. Because for you is the Buddha nature. But emptiness means empty of samsara, empty of all problems and limitations. But if you, or Buddha nature itself empty, then is already non-feminine negative. You don't have anything left. So that means that you have to think of equal as Buddha nature exists. Yeah, you can think that way two ways.
Okay, we have one or two more questions left from our Mandarin group. So the first one is, if normal, ordinary people can only learn about emptiness, but the ultimate truth can only be understood or in the awareness of bodhisattvas, then how can we as normal, ordinary people identify the ultimate truth?
Second.
Okay. Yeah, this one's a little complicated. So if normal people can only, their first position is the thought that normal people can only learn about emptiness, and that the ultimate truth is only understood by bodhisattvas, then how can we, I'm assuming we as ordinary people, identify the ultimate truth?
No. Anybody can identify the ultimate truth. Okay? And because identify means in many levels. So we have you cannot identify the ultimate truth by your eyes consciousness, air consciousness, 5 senses, you can't. But your conceptual mind, you can. Depend how sharp your mind. but almost anybody can. So don't think it's impossible. Everybody, possible for everybody. Possibility for every ordinary people. Okay? So, bodhisattvas means also many, many levels of bodhisattvas. The first level of bodhisattva doesn't necessarily know anything about Buddha nature. I mean, you know, experience. Could not have any experience at all. Still, you can become a bodhisattva. Because you become a bodhisattva is you just need real bodhicitta in your conceptual mind. Real means you voluntarily, you 100% sure you have that inspiration to liberate all sentient beings. That's all. You don't have any other, still okay. If you have that, then you have idea of Buddhahood, whether you are 100% correct or not, but you have that, and then you have the sincere, the aspiration to liberate sentient beings. Not only wish, okay? You have that sense of responsibility, then you are already bodhisattva. Then you become a bodhisattva. 1 minute ago, you are not, and now, yes. You still have maybe, you don't have any experience Buddha nature at all. Maybe you have some idea. But that idea, you can have somebody ordinary, no bodhicitta at all, even no good compassion, still you could have that. So that means a possibility for everybody.
Okay, the final question for today. So there's still some, I think, confusion. Can the relative and ultimate truth be understood as the same thing, but just different ways?
Different ways, according to Zhentong, definitely different. Relative truth means we experience in every day, everything. Okay? All of them we experience. Not only us, even all the levels of bodhisattvas, under the 10th level of bodhisattva, everybody can experience the relative truth. Or even just born baby can experience relative truth. Even in the mother's womb, still they experience in the relative truth, okay? And our hell beings, the hungry ghosts, anybody. So the ultimate truth means only Buddhas can experience. But when we say only Buddha is, don't think something smaller than sentient beings. Sentient beings are innumerable, but also Buddhas also innumerable. But sentient beings even more limited than Buddha realms. Okay? So very different.